You have exactly $60,000 and a strict goal to completely bypass the traditional residential housing market. Your two most likely options are a 26-foot tiny house on wheels and a 40-foot high-cube shipping container. Your choice comes down to how you allocate that limited capital. You can prioritize the flexibility of mobility or the industrial permanence of steel. This $60,000 budget covers the finished structural unit alone. It excludes the price of land, delivery, permits, and utility hookups. This budget composition shows how base components consume funds before touching interior finishes. The tiny house's heavy-duty trailer chassis claims a massive percentage of cash. A cheap container shell savings are lost to structural reinforcement and specialized insulation. A strict budget cap forces an unavoidable compromise between interior spatial efficiency and foundational durability. Shortcut, but a bare shell is a long way from a home. Corrugated steel relies on its walls for strength. When you cut a wide opening for a window or a door, you destroy its load-bearing integrity, requiring heavy steel reinforcement to be welded back into the frame. The tiny house avoids this complexity by using familiar stick framing, which allows you to install residential windows cheaply and quickly. The tiny house trades that framing simplicity for a different cost. The trailer is a highly engineered, expensive foundational vehicle. Because these base structural costs are non-negotiable, luxury finishes like marble or custom cabinetry rarely fit within a $60,000 project. You either pay a premium upfront for custom wheels or pay heavily later for structural steel retrofits. These structural choices lead directly to the interior layout. For the container, the primary constraint is a strict 8-foot exterior width. This floor plan heat map shows the width problem. As insulation, service gaps, and finished walls are sequentially added, your usable interior room shrinks. This creates a narrow corridor effect, where every living function has to happen in a straight line. Walling off a private ground floor bedroom in this layout significantly shortens and cramps your remaining shared living space. The tiny house usually solves this by building upward, using a vertical loft to separate the sleeping area from the main floor. Using a loft preserves the ground floor square footage for the kitchen and living area without increasing the trailer's footprint. This vertical layout requires navigating steep, compact stairs every day, which presents long-term accessibility challenges. Living in these spaces forces a choice between narrow, single-level corridors or multi-level living that may hinder aging in place. Both structures face severe environmental vulnerabilities that can break a budget during the engineering phase. Steel is highly conductive. This cross-section shows how thermal bridging pulls outside temperatures through the wall, creating condensation and moisture buildup on the interior surfaces. Preventing the interior from sweating or freezing requires specialized, expensive insulation strategies. The tiny house deals with an exposed undercarriage that risks frozen plumbing, while highway weight limits often restrict the use of heavier, more effective insulation materials. Achieving standard residential comfort in these structures requires climate engineering that rapidly consumes your initial savings. Placing these homes reveals a major logistical divide. On paper, the tiny house has the advantage because it is already on wheels. In practice, moving it requires a heavy-duty truck, a height-legal route, and a destination where you have legal permission to park. The heavy steel container offers incredible permanence, but getting it onto a residential lot safely involves a major, expensive mechanical operation. You have to pay for industrial delivery equipment and a foundation engineered to support the specific load points of the container's corners. Mobility is a recurring logistical task, while permanence requires a massive one-time investment in heavy machinery. Surviving the $60,000 unit budget results in a finished box sitting in a driveway. This waterfall chart shows the additional infrastructure required to make either unit legally habitable. The first costs include delivery fees, site preparation, and installing a foundation. Then come utility connections for water, sewer, and power, followed by local zoning permits. Acquiring legally zoned land is the most significant requirement, often doubling the total project investment. Choosing between these structures depends on your physical needs and your existing assets. This decision quadrant maps your lifestyle priorities against the physical realities of each home. The tiny house suits nomadic residents needing spatial efficiency without stair issues. The container is better for those prioritizing asset stability and single-level living, provided they own land. The total investment for alternative housing depends on the infrastructural, legal, and lifestyle realities required to turn a structure into a home.